Long ago, in the age of gods and monsters, there lived a man of unimaginable strength and unshakable will. His name, Hercules. But he was no ordinary man. He was the son of Zeus, the mightiest of the gods, and a mortal woman. A demigod destined for greatness, but cursed with suffering. To atone for a terrible crime, he was given 12 impossible labors, and his story became legend. Join us as we journey through the trials of Hercules. Before we begin, if you love stories of ancient myths and legendary heroes, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Bedtime Chronicles. Now let's dive into the myth of Hercules and his 12 great labors. The curse of Hera and the beginning of Hercules' trials. Hercules was no stranger to hardship. From the moment he was born, Hera, the jealous wife of Zeus, despised him. She could not bear the sight of Zeus's illegitimate child, a constant reminder of her husband's infidelity. And so, she devised a cruel plan. With a whisper in the wind, she sent madness upon Hercules. A darkness clouded his mind, twisting his thoughts into nightmares. In his rage, he did the unthinkable. He struck down those he loved most. And when his vision cleared, he stood in horror at what he had done. The great hero had become a tragic figure, broken and lost. Seeking redemption, Hercules turned to the oracle of Delphi, who revealed his only path to salvation. He must serve King Eurystheus and complete 12 impossible labors. And so his journey began. The Nemean Lion. The first labor took Hercules to the dark, treacherous forests of Nemea, where a monstrous lion terrorized the land. This was no ordinary beast. Its golden fur was impenetrable to weapons. No blade, no arrow could harm it. The warriors of the land had tried and failed to stop the creature, leaving the people in fear. But Hercules was not just a warrior. He was a thinker. He tracked the lion to its cave and devised a strategy. Using his immense strength, he cornered the beast, blocking its escape. Then, with his bare hands, he engaged in a brutal struggle, muscles straining, heart pounding, until he choked the life from the great beast. But slaying the lion was only part of the challenge. He needed to present its hide as proof of his victory. With no weapon sharp enough to cut its skin, he used the lion's own claws to skin it. From then on, he wore its pelt as armor, a symbol of his strength and triumph. The Lernaean Hydra. Deep in the swampy lands of Lerna lurked a creature of nightmares, the Hydra. A serpent-like monster with 9 heads, each exhaling deadly poison, and a terrifying ability that made it nearly invincible. Whenever one of its heads was severed, 2 more grew in its place. How could Hercules defeat something that multiplied as it was struck? The battle was unlike anything he had faced before. With his loyal nephew Iolaus by his side, he devised a plan. As Hercules slashed at the Hydra's heads, Iolaus wielded a burning torch, searing the open wounds to prevent them from regenerating. But the Hydra had one final secret. One head was immortal. No blade could destroy it. Hercules knew he had to end this once and for all. Using all his strength, he lifted a massive boulder and crushed the immortal head beneath it, ensuring the beast would never rise again. But even in death, the Hydra remained deadly. Hercules dipped his arrows into its toxic blood, creating weapons that would bring down even the mightiest foes in the future. The Golden Hind of Artemis. For his third task, Hercules was ordered to capture the elusive Golden Hind, a sacred deer of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. This magnificent creature was faster than the wind, its golden hooves barely touching the ground. No warrior had ever laid a hand on it, and to do so risked angering Artemis herself. But Hercules was relentless. He pursued the hind for an entire year, through forests, across rivers, over mountains, never resting, never stopping. At last, under the light of a full moon, he saw his chance. With utmost care, he caught the hind without harming it. Even Artemis admired his patience and devotion, allowing him to take the hind as proof of his success before releasing it back into the wild. The Erymanthian Boar. The fourth labor required Hercules to capture the Erymanthian boar, a wild beast that terrorized the region. This enormous creature had razor-sharp tusks and a temper as fierce as a storm. It would rampage through villages, tearing apart anything in its path. To complete his task, Hercules tracked the boar high into the mountains, where the snow was thick and the winds howled. He chased it for hours, forcing it through the heavy snow until its movements became sluggish. With his immense strength, he tackled the beast, binding it with chains and carrying it over his shoulders back to King Eurystheus. Upon seeing the boar, the cowardly king hid inside a large jar, terrified of the beast's ferocity, despite it being fully subdued. The Augean Stables. For his fifth labor, Hercules faced a different kind of challenge, not a beast, but an insurmountable filth. King Augeas possessed a vast number of cattle, and their stables had not been cleaned for decades. The filth stretched as far as the eye could see, its stench unbearable. This was not just a test of strength, but also intelligence. Instead of shoveling the mess, Hercules devised a brilliant plan. He redirected two mighty rivers, forcing their waters to flood through the stables, washing away years of filth in mere moments. The king, instead of rewarding Hercules, refused to honor their deal and denied him any payment. However, the labor was still counted as complete, further proving Hercules' wit and ingenuity. The Stymphalian Birds. In a land plagued by terror, Hercules' sixth labor was to rid the region of the Stymphalian birds, monstrous creatures with beaks of bronze and feathers as sharp as blades. These birds, sacred to Ares, infested the marshlands, attacking travelers and devouring crops. No one dared approach them, for their metallic feathers could pierce armor. Hercules, realizing he could not fight them on the ground, sought the help of Athena. She gifted him a pair of sacred castanets, which he clashed together, creating a deafening sound that sent the birds into the sky in panic. With keen precision, Hercules took aim with his bow and shot them down one by one, ensuring the land was safe once more. The Cretan Bull. The seventh labor took Hercules across the sea to the island of Crete, where he was tasked with capturing a bull of immense strength, sent by Poseidon himself. The bull had been meant as a sacrifice, but King Minos defied the gods, allowing the beast to run wild. Its fury was unmatched, trampling fields, destroying homes, and spreading chaos across the island. Hercules faced the creature head-on, dodging its mighty horns with agility before wrestling it to the ground. Using his great strength, he subdued the bull and led it back to King Eurystheus. However, rather than keep it contained, the king foolishly released the bull, allowing it to roam Greece, where it would later be encountered by Theseus. The Mares of Diomedes. In his eighth labor, Hercules had to retrieve the man-eating mares of King Diomedes. These monstrous horses had been fed human flesh, making them savage beyond belief. No ordinary man could tame them. Arriving at Diomedes' palace, Hercules devised a plan. He overpowered the guards and stole the mares, but their savage nature made them uncontrollable. Realizing their strength came from their diet, he tricked Diomedes into being devoured by his own beasts. Deprived of their monstrous master, the mares became docile, allowing Hercules to deliver them as ordered. The Belt of Hippolyta. Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons, possessed a golden belt, a gift from Ares himself. For his ninth labor, Hercules was sent to retrieve it. At first, Hippolyta welcomed Hercules, willing to give him the belt without conflict. However, Hera, ever the deceiver, spread rumors among the Amazons, whispering that Hercules had come to steal their queen away. The once peaceful meeting quickly turned into chaos. The Amazons, fierce and battle-hardened warriors, surrounded Hercules, swords drawn and shields raised. Betrayed and left with no choice, Hercules fought his way through the ranks of the mighty female warriors, defeating them one by one. With heavy heart, he took the belt from the fallen queen and fled, knowing that this bloodshed had been unnecessary. He had not wanted war, but Hera's trickery had made it inevitable. The cattle of Geryon. Hercules' 10th labor took him to the farthest reaches of the known world, beyond the great ocean, to the land where the giant Geryon ruled. Geryon was no ordinary man. He was a monstrous warrior with 3 torsos, 3 heads, and 3 sets of arms. He ruled over vast lands and commanded a herd of magnificent red cattle prized by the gods. The journey alone was a trial. Hercules crossed deserts, climbed mountains, and even erected 2 massive pillars at the Strait of Gibraltar to mark his passage. Upon reaching Geryon's land, he was met with fierce resistance. First, he had to defeat Orthrus, the 2-headed hound that guarded the herd, striking it down with his mighty club. Then, he faced the giant Geryon himself. Armed with his poisoned arrows, Hercules took aim at the towering beast. The arrows, tipped with the deadly Hydra's venom, pierced through all 3 of Geryon's hearts, felling him where he stood. With the battle won, Hercules gathered the sacred cattle and began his arduous journey back, facing further challenges as the gods tested his resolve along the way. The golden apples of the Hesperides. The 11th labor was perhaps the most mystical of all. Hercules was tasked with retrieving the golden apples of the Hesperides, divine fruit that granted immortality and were guarded by the nymphs of the evening and a fearsome dragon named Ladon. However, their location was unknown. Hercules traveled far and wide seeking those who might know the way. He encountered the shape-shifting sea god Nereus and forced him to reveal the garden's location. But when he arrived, he realized that the apples could not simply be stolen. The Titan Atlas, who held up the sky, was the only one allowed to retrieve them. Using his wit, Hercules offered to hold the heavens in Atlas's place while the Titan fetched the apples. However, upon his return, Atlas, weary of his eternal burden, tried to trick Hercules into holding the sky forever. But Hercules, ever clever, feigned agreement and asked Atlas to take the sky for just a moment so he could adjust his cloak. The moment Atlas took back his burden, Hercules seized the apples and swiftly departed, leaving the deceiving Titan to resume his endless punishment. The capture of Cerberus. The final labor was the most terrifying of them all. Hercules had to descend into the underworld itself and capture Cerberus, the monstrous 3-headed hound that guarded the gates of Hades. No mortal had ever returned from the realm of the dead. But Hercules was no ordinary man. Guided by Hermes, he made his way to the river Styx and convinced Charon, the boatman, to ferry him across. Once inside the underworld, Hercules met Hades and Persephone and asked for permission to take Cerberus to the surface. The Lord of the Dead agreed on one condition. Hercules could take Cerberus, but only if he subdued the beast with his own strength, without weapons. Hercules accepted the challenge. The monstrous hound lunged at him, its 3 sets of fangs snapping and its serpent tail thrashing wildly. With sheer force, Hercules wrestled the beast into submission, gripping it by its thick, muscular necks and holding on as it struggled against him. Slowly, the mighty hero dragged Cerberus from the depths of the underworld up to the land of the living. Once he had proven his feat to Eurystheus, he returned the monstrous guardian to its rightful place, ensuring balance remained between the worlds of the living and the dead. And so, the trials of Hercules ended, but his legend lived on, a tale of strength, wit, and perseverance. His story was not just one of might, but of resilience, redemption, and the pursuit of greatness despite overwhelming odds. Though his labors had ended, his place among the gods was secured. No longer bound to mortal struggles, he took his place on Mount Olympus, where he would forever be honored as one of the greatest heroes of myth. His tale became one of divine triumph, his deeds set in the stars, forever marking his place in the cosmos. If you enjoyed this legendary journey, don't forget to like and subscribe to Bedtime Chronicles. Join us for more incredible myths and histories as we explore the tales of gods, warriors, and civilizations lost to time. See you in the next adventure.